What's up everybody? So today we're going to be talking about used equipment, selling your gear, and certain things to look out for when selling your gear and things like that. So watch this next sequence. It's all shot with some used equipment. Of course, it's all about your vision as a cinematographer and photographer, but check it out.
Strikes by my window, hits my chest right in the morning, like a warning. Could have slept here for days. I felt your heartbeat, felt your mouth breathe, but it's not real. We were close to see the sun, but clouds got in our way, and so
Cool, so that was shot on my used Sony A7. Currently filming with this camera right now with a video micro. It's a great little setup I got, and it didn't cost me a whole lot of money. And I do really recommend buying used gear. It can really help you out in the long run, save you some money for other accessories and things that you need to use for photography, whether it be a tripod or whatever it may be. So used gear, number one, can save you a lot of money. Number two, if you don't really need the latest and greatest thing or the newest thing on the market, it's also really great because you can get a really great camera for a discounted price. And number three, there's already a ton of feedback on it, so you kind of know what you're getting into in terms of looking at a used product. So you can actually go on Google, YouTube video, whatever it may be, any search of the product you're looking into getting used, and you'll have tons of forums, reviews, even what's wrong with it or what can go wrong with it, and even how to troubleshoot some of those problems. Tips for buying used equipment. Now, sort of when you're looking at used equipment, there's really, I mean, if you're looking at cameras, there's two components you're looking at. The body, number one, and the lens that's in front of that used body. Now, bodies tend to change more frequently than lenses, so that's why most cinematographers, photographers will say invest in glass. It's the number one thing you can invest in when getting into photography or cinematography. Now, camera bodies, they can be a bit tricky with shutter counts, dead pixels, things that, you know, can affect the sensor and things like that. So what I tend to look for are any dents or obvious blemishes on the body. Some of them, if they're on the grip or something, really don't matter. You can get away with it. But if you've got, you know, malfunctioning knobs and things like that, I'd be a little more wary. If you're looking at the sensor, definitely look and see if it's clean. Also, you can look and see if there's any dead pixels within that sensor as well. Now, if there's only 3 or 4 dead pixels, it doesn't really matter. If there are a large amount of dead pixels, then I'd be very concerned about that camera body. Also, shutter count. Now, shutter count is sort of a, you know, variable target. Camera companies rate shutter counts, and that's when the shutter is good until. But also keep in mind, say if you're, you know, you've got a D5 Nikon and you're using it for sports photography, firing it at the maximum frame rate, you're more likely to incur a shutter failure than if you were using a D5 for just single shots, where now, whatever that number is, it doesn't mean the shutter's going to fail at that specific number. It can still be used well beyond that number in certain cases, but shutter count's one thing that some people look for. Now, in terms of lenses, lenses are an interesting thing, and this is one thing I love buying used, just because that great glass can go a long way. I have about 3 or 4 used Nikon AIS lenses, and these are manual focus lenses that back in the day you got the aperture ring that you had to turn, and the manual focus ring as well to focus your shot. It's a lot trickier with film if you're trying to pull focus or rack focus than it is with photography manual focusing. So the good thing is though, I get great image quality for my photos with these manual focus lenses, even though I can't really autofocus. But with a camera like the A7 or the A7 series with peaking, it's really great. I can look at my screen, I can work on my peaking focus and get a great shot without having to really worry about dialing it in on one specific shot. It just kind of shows me that, okay, this looks like it's in focus. Lenses are great. Also, another thing that I tend to buy used or film cameras. I mean, I bought them used because that's one of the first things I kind of learned on, and I love my film cameras. I doubt I'll ever sell any of them. Now, what about selling your gear? Now, selling your gear, it's also a bit of a tricky situation, at least for me personally. I mean, for my first camera that I ever had was a D7000 first digital camera. So the D7000 was my first camera ever. I loved it to pieces. It got me my first paid gig. It got me my next paid gig. And I was really attached to that camera, and I did invest in a couple lenses for it. The manual focus Nikon lenses I have worked on it great. And letting go of that for me was a bit challenging. But at the end of the day, for me, I knew it was a body that was going to go out of date really quickly, see what I could get for its value and trade it in or take a credit. If you are going to sell it to camera stores, you have to make sure that the equipment is in really great condition. Otherwise, you know, they may not even accept it because they have to sell it at a certain price based on how they rate it. Now, if you're selling it to a camera store, obviously they're going to give you a lot less money than if you were to sell it onto, you know, say Kijiji or Craigslist. You might command a bit more money. But people are very skeptical also because they're not getting it from somebody reputable. They're getting it from the original owner, and their rating system might differ from what they think is, you know, good or like new or whatever it may be. So even as for yourself, when you're buying this used stuff off of Kijiji, you never really know how this specific piece of equipment functioned or if there was any defects to it or anything like that. I mean, most people are good about putting that stuff in the description when they sell it, but some people may omit it just to try and get as much cash or as much money as they can for it. If you're really looking for something as quickly as possible, the camera store would probably be best because you get your credit right away. They know what that value of the used object is already, and they can price it out for you. You can use that for store credit for whatever equipment you want, new camera, new accessories, whatever it may be. Although if you are a little more patient, I would recommend putting it on the open market. Be as truthful as possible about the condition it's in and rate it as for that condition based on comparables at, say, KEH or comparables at a camera store that sells the similar used equipment, or, you know, eBay and Kijiji if there's any competitors for that same type of object. So that's why, I mean, for me, selling equipment's pretty tricky, and even buying used can be tricky, but I hope some of these tips help you guys when looking for used equipment, and help you in your search for either upgrading your camera gear or changing to a whole entire system, or just looking for things to improve your production value through the used market. So I'll see you guys in the next one, and I hope this video was helpful. It's my first real like tutorial, how-to tip kind of video, so if you like it, thumbs up, comment, subscribe, let me know if I missed out on anything or you want me to answer any questions, and I will see you in the next video. Thomas Loser. How's it going?
Can I help you?
Yeah, what's up?
We made it.
You made it. Why'd you guys not come yesterday?
I don't like driving in the dark.
But Kevin likes driving in the dark.
Yeah, but Kevin worked all day and then family functions and all that.
Oh, how's Mama C? Okay, bye.